it's also, yeah, it's been a fun way for me also just to play around with different phrases to see what the AI comes out of.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty funny because my experience with this, because up until I started playing with the AI stuff, it's really hard to tell because everyone has so many opinions around it, like what's hype and what's not. Where they're like, are they going to just completely wipe out creatives now? Or is AI dumber than rocks? Like, I feel like the conversation is there's just like the two extreme camps of people think like we're all going to die from AGI in like 3 months.
Oh
And
my
the other
God.
side is like, this is completely useless and it's like not smart enough now. From what I've played around with, and I'm sure there's more sophisticated image. I'm using, I forget the name right now. I'm using one of the better ones available at the moment. But just from like my experience playing around, especially with the image one,
Mm-hmm.
it handles certain things very well. But my impression, both with Chat GPT and this image AI,
Mm-hmm.
is within certain parameters, it's really effective at automating work for you.
Yeah.
But human creativity still
Yeah.
has a level of preciseness that I don't think the AIs can match right now. Because
Exactly.
I can like, even with the images, like I can generate in my head some ideas for stuff and I can play around and adjust that more and go into more different directions than
Mm-hmm.
the AI, where even just using it for image generation, you start to see the patterns of how it makes the images. And you're like, oh, you still kind of have like this bandwidth of frequency and you know how to make stuff within that, but there's not really a way to communicate with you as well, like getting outside of, I would say, that lane.
Yeah. I think right now at least is a compliment to what we can use it
Mhm.
for, right? Like I don't think it is as creative as we are. We still have to prompt it, right? Like for example, you're saying boat sailing away, you know? And
Mhm.
I don't know if you've gotten crazy images of, for example, I'm in your Twitter page right now, and I see that you have like a girl, right, with like flowers around her.
Mhm.
And I don't know if you've gotten like an image of like three armed girls or something like that, you know?
Yeah, it's funny because there have been images that I've had generated
Mm-hmm.
where if you just like take a glance at it, everything looks fine. But when you look closer, it's like, oh, that's like pretty morphed and nonsensical. And
Yep,
there's been images I've really liked, but there's just, I don't want it. I don't like, I'm not trying to hide the fact that I'm using AI to
yeah, of
generate the
course not.
images, but
Mm-hmm.
I also want the page to be something that you don't look at it and go like, oh, those are AI generated images. Like
Exactly.
I want it to come across as natural. And
Mm-hmm.
I've had to not use images that are really good just because there are certain details that are just like so randomly like just
Exactly.
morphed. I'm like, that's distracting.
Exactly. Yes. So I think it will get there, but it's not there right now to the point of, comparing our like um creativity to like the AI right now at
Yeah.
least.
It is interesting because like the GPTs and the image generators now, I feel like they'll be very good at staying in their lane, but I think the whole artificial general intelligence
Mm-hmm.
concern, m- this is something that there are people who can speak to it better than me, but my impression is whatever is going to create artificial general intelligence, I'm sure we're learning a lot of lessons from the stuff coming out now, but I think it's gonna handle the processing in a different way than these GPT type AIs now. Like I don't think say like a GPT like 8 or 9 or something like that is going to be where artificial intelligence, like real artificial general intelligence comes from.
Mhm.
I don't it's hard to put into words. I just just the patterns I'm seeing in the limitations doesn't strike me as something that can be overcome by that model of processing. But I don't know. I'm not an AI engineer, so maybe there are specific technical problems that they solved, and I'm sure there are from seeing these GPT types
Yeah.
work, and I'm sure we'll keep coming out with like bigger and bigger and like better models for that. Like apparently it's pretty helpful for coding and
Yeah.
also things like accountant type work, stuff where you have pretty structured rules and parameters. It can work very well within those spaces. For me personally, my kind of concerns and stuff I'm keeping an eye out for is I'm scared about general intelligence just destroying us all. So
Yeah,
that's my big thing.
definitely.
Chat GPT is not going to take over the world. I'm worried about whatever that thing is going to be. And then the other side is just from me being selfish and being a creative worker, I'm paying more attention to stuff that can like outsource me. I'm not
Right.
worried about the stuff coming out now making me replaceable.
Yeah, me neither. I think it's in the
Yeah.
future, maybe, but
But
yeah.
the stuff coming out now can definitely automate a lot of other work areas
Mhm.
and provide a lot of business value. So that's why I'm kind of like, the more I take a look at this, I'm like, okay, this it's not like the one camp that's just like, oh, this stuff is useless because it doesn't do the specific thing I want. It's like, no, there are actually some probably pretty specific applications for this that can be really helpful.
Yep.
Chat bots, I'm assuming this would be really good for just making more sophisticated chat bots. But it's also not the other end where it's like we have 3 months until the apocalypse comes because we're that close to AGI. I
Yeah.
mean, and if we are, it's because engineers are working something out on something outside of this, at least in my uninformed opinion of the matter.